stage 7, it will have to get to at least 150 miles per hour in winds.
Ugh.
And
No.
I don't know if it'll get there or not, but again, going off of official data, expected to be a stage 6 on the CDPS and barely 1, and that would put it in roughly the 71st percentile of all storms that have made landfall in the Atlantic since 1988.
And we're looking at the structure of the storm right now. Massive blows up of convection since we did the last live stream. We caught the very beginning of it as we ended the previous stream tonight, earlier today. What is this indicating?
Intensification.
Ah.
How strong, how much intensification, we'll have to see. But the storm is definitely strengthening.
And we're talking about the timings for tomorrow in particular, when the storm's going to make landfall. We're thinking early afternoon now?
Sometime between 1 and 4 p.m. Central Time appears to be the most likely landfall time.
But early in the morning, I mean, when do you think tropical storm conditions will start to be felt in those areas? Panama City region.
Overnight.
Probably overnight. 5 a.m. seems reasonable. I mean, Michael's not a very large storm, so the tropical storm force winds don't extend out ridiculously far, but you probably will start seeing gale force winds by about 5 a.m. your time. Maybe, plus or minus an hour or two. So, and then hurricane force winds, and if you're near the immediate landfall zone, probably about a good 2-3 hours before landfall, I'd say.
And I think we need to clarify, Devon, when you were talking about the CDPS scale, it is your scale that you created, a 10-tiered scale that talks not only about the storm's intensity, but its forward motion and its wind field. I think some people getting confused that you meant category 6 and 7.
No. The CDPS, it's a rating from 1 to 10, and basically anything above a rating of 3 is an extremely dangerous storm, and this is rating 6. So we're talking this can be a very devastating storm, and the only reason why usually Cat 3s are somewhere in the 7 to 8 range is because of how small this storm is. So this is actually rated pretty low for a major hurricane. And that's, again, because of how small Michael is.
What is it right now again, did you say?
It's currently projected to be a stage 6 at landfall.
Well, what about right now?
Right now it would be a 5.
Isn't that what Florence struck at landfall?
Florence struck at landfall, I believe, was a 6.
Oh, okay. So a similar impact to that in a way,
In a way.
Also expected to go through into the Carolinas later on to regain tropical storm force winds as it moves through there.
Well, simultaneously become extra tropical.
Yes.
Nathan?
David.
National Hurricane Center heavy rainfall for Michael could produce life-threatening flash flooding from the Florida Panhandle, Big Bend region into portions of Georgia, the Carolinas, southeast Virginia. That's from the National Hurricane Center just posted.
Okay. Recon, instead of going directly into the center of the storm, has decided to do a loop in the Eyewall. So
now we're going to have recon updates this hour, am I correct?
Yeah, we've got 2 planes going through the storm right now. We've got a NOAA 2, and we've got an Air Force plane in there. So we should be getting a reading roughly every half hour.
The NOAA plane is currently going through the Eyewall right now. The the Air Force plane is going through the outskirts and should be making another pass.
We'll probably have eye data from the NOAA plane at around 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Judging by recent occurrences, I would assume the pressure would be getting pretty close down to at least 950 millibars. Just based on how quickly Michael is deepening at this point, because it's been between two passes on the Air Force mission, it dropped 5 millibars between passes in a time span of about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
That is very quick. That means that the storm is very rapidly intensifying at the current moment. Even though the winds might not portray that as much, if the pressure is dropping, that means your storm is more intense regardless, and that means that at some point the winds will also begin to catch up. So the storm,
and it should be noted that in a rapidly intensifying storm, usually the pressure drops first and then the winds catch up a few hours later. So just because we're seeing the pressure go way down right now doesn't mean by any means that, and the winds aren't catching up, doesn't mean by any means, oh, this storm's not strengthened. It's getting stronger. Very clear on satellite, very clear in the recon. Don't just remain fixated on how strong the winds are, because it's really the pressure what matters with these rapidly deepening systems.
And I kind of want to touch on the satellite presentation really quick, because that is not looking, wow, okay, that is ominous to say the least. I think the screen share up right now, so if we can see that, that would be great.
Ahead.
I don't have it, Hank. Something's up with this. I don't know.
Okay, well, basically right now, I would assume that there might be some on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. Okay, so yeah, you can see the convection is quickly wrapping around to every single quadrant, and that is exactly what we do not want to be seeing right now. That just means the storm is continuing to intensify at a very quick pace. And I mean, you can see those -80 cloud tops right there on that exact parameter right there. See -80 cloud tops basically surrounding the entire eye, and even though the eye isn't very cool or very warm per se, it is beginning to warm a little bit. I can see in the satellite imagery. So
Recon is getting very warm. Eye temperature readings up to 28, 29 degrees Celsius going into the core.
And this imagery is consistently only about 7 minutes old as we present them to you, so some of the most recent imagery you'll find anywhere.
Yeah, this is even more concerning than it was originally. I mean,
I'm just gonna have to agree with you on this one, Hank. The satellite appearance right now can be said as nothing more than just it is intensifying very quickly, and pretty much we just have our fingers crossed that it doesn't get too strong. That some kind of strong happens within the system, and it prevents it from getting much stronger than it is now before it ends up hitting Florida.
All right.
Yeah.
I just want to draw attention to 3 items at the minute, if I can remember them all. First of all, on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll note that a lot of the imagery is missing. Something's up with Go 16 today. There's been quite a few missing images, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. Not our fault. And I'm sure there was something else, but the third one was just, if you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air, start your message with Force 13 all in text. We're here for this 2-hour period until 9 PM Eastern, so now's a good time to ask away. We had a few questions earlier, but I'll just wait a few more minutes and let someone else talk, if they want to.
I'm just refreshing Recon. It should be updating momentarily.
Yeah, I've just looked at Michael, and it's getting very, very, very serious very, very quickly, and it doesn't look very good right now with the situation.
Pretty simply, we've got a pinhole eye, and we have white cloud tops going all the way around it, so... Ugh.
Oh yes, that was the other item I wanted to go through, just the hazards, and this is important. The storm surge,
yes,
expected to be 9 to 13 feet in Mexico Beach,
up.
Florida to Keaton Beach, Florida. 9 to 13.
That's gonna go up.
Okaloosa, Walton County line to Mexico Beach, 6 to 9 feet. Keaton Beach to Cedar Key, 6 to 9 feet. Cedar Key to Casahowitska, 4 to 6 feet. Chesapeake to Anna Maria Island, including Tampa Bay, 2 to 4 feet. Alabama-Florida border to Okaloosa-Walton County line, 2 to 4 feet. The rain expectations haven't changed very much. Florida Panhandle, 4 to 8 inches, and other interior locations as well, into southeastern Alabama and into southwestern Georgia. Isolated maximums of 12. Life-threatening flash floods are possible. The remainder of Georgia, the Carolinas, and southern Virginia, 3 to 6 inches with isolated maximums of 8. And the Florida Peninsula, the eastern mid-Atlantic, and southern New England, 1 to 3.
And I'd just like to say a special welcome to those viewing the live streaming on Facebook.
Yes, indeed, we are simulcasting on 2 platforms, as we've started to do over the course of this season, to allow the news to spread even more, and hopefully we're doing a good service across multiple platforms. We're trying to be as accessible as possible.
Yeah, there's minor road. Go ahead.
Go on. No, you go ahead with the road.
Isaac.
There's minor. I'm hearing reports from news stations in Louisiana that there is minor road flooding occurring near Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah, there's going to be some minor coastal flooding with any storm that goes across the Gulf. It's relatively shallow in nature and relatively small as well. So even a storm, say in the eastern Gulf, like Michael is right now, will still cause some coastal issues somewhere, say along the Texas coast, which is on the opposite side of the Gulf.
And I'd just like to jump in right now and say that this storm, at least from the looks of it right now, is going to go. It's very likely for it to go well over the current NHC forecast. So I think it might even be a safe bet to add another 2 to 3 feet to whatever storm surge, particularly in the landfall area.
Recon just had an update. They recorded a minimum pressure so far of, I believe, 954, and they recorded flight level winds. Looks like up to at least 113 knots. This is breaking right now.
Can I just interrupt and say, would it be fake news for a radio telephone call from the hurricane hunters to CNN? I just picked up on a posting here in the chat, and Karen Doody, I think that would be highly unlikely, because taking a media call from a major flight, I think that would
The only thing
be
I could
highly
suggest
unlikely.
is that sometimes they have a media pool on board, but I don't think that's during hurricane season.
I don't know, but I'm just going through recon right now. It looks like the plane missed the center by a little bit. It's these wind barbs here. That's about, what is it there? Yeah, that's about almost 10 knots right there. So they did miss the exact center.
Yep.
So even though that
I was
reading
about
does
to say that too. They missed. They went too far south.
Yeah, so even though that pressure reading says 955, which would seem like it is rising a bit, it's continuing to deepen as we speak.
And looking at the surface winds, it looks like they've gone up to at least 100 knots surface wind, according to the recon.
Possibly, yeah.
Nathan, sorry guys, I want to ask the team, what is the message from us to those in the Florida Panhandle?
Obviously, listen to any and all authorities. If they tell you to get out of the way of the storm, get out of the way of the storm. Just heed all warnings, make appropriate preparations. If you're in one of those storm surge prone areas, this is your last chance to get out of the way of this storm. This storm's intensifying very quickly as it's heading towards Florida, and it doesn't look like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. The conditions are just shy of perfect for it. So you got to make sure things can change very quickly with these small storms. It could shoot up in intensity, it could go down in intensity. Much more
And
likely
Devin,
to shoot up. But it's very important that you just listen to all local authorities, especially if you're in the way of this storm. If you're within, I would say, if you're going to be within 10, 15 miles from the landfall area, that's where the Category 2, Category 3, maybe even Category 4 winds are going to be with this storm, and you need to be out of that region.
And Devin, what about storm surge? I'm just following the chat and the comments, and storm surge along the western coast of Florida up towards the Panhandle. What do we say, or what is our message for those that might be close to the shore?
Don't be in a flood-prone area. Make sure you get out of the flood-prone areas. Just don't even chance it. Water is an extremely destructive force, especially when it comes in with these hurricanes. It can wipe away your entire house. Just don't even chance it. Don't even chance it. Get out of the way.
And I'm just going to butt in really quickly here because I just saw this comment here saying that I'm 20 miles inland, so I'm safe. No, you're not.
No.
Even if you are 20 miles inland, yes, you are getting away from the storm surge threat, but you are not getting away from the wind threat or the rainfall. So you could still see rainfall that could cause maybe even up to a foot of rain in parts of Florida here. That can cause some significant flooding, freshwater flooding. It doesn't even need to be assisted by any storm surge. So rainfall in itself is still a huge hazard with hurricanes. We saw that heavily emphasized with Florence. We're going to not see it as heavily emphasized with Michael. This is going to be more of a, I guess, wind and surge machine, but you could still see some significant flooding from rainfall in Florida, even if you are inland. And wind is also not something to take lightly. I mean, tropical storm force winds can cause power outages easily. So still, again, it's not a coastal event. It is inland as well. This storm's impacts will extend not only through Florida, but through Georgia and up through the Carolinas as well. So if you're in any of these states, then watch the storm very closely, take it seriously, and if you're in the path, then prepare as necessary. And like Devin said, listen to your local authorities for the best information about what the storm will do and how exactly you can prepare and or what your evacuation plan is.
What I'd like to add on to that, saying that if you're wanting to get out of the way of this thing, you still have some time. Get out now as soon as you can, because we said this on the stream yesterday. Once those winds start hitting 40 miles an hour, and you have to travel over one of those bridges that crosses over water, any area of water, they shut down. Yeah, they close down the roads when it reaches 40 miles an hour, and that's expected to hit around sometime later tonight. I think around 9 or 10 p.m.
5, 6 a.m.
What?
Something like that. Around 5, 6 a.m. Pretty much right before dawn or get dawn.
So basically, if you're along the coast there and you don't evacuate tonight, then it's too late, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Unless you're not, then yeah, it's pretty much too late.
Yeah, it is.
Once those winds reach 40, you're done. You have to go to shelter or hunker down.
This is your last chance to evacuate. Like now, we're not even joking here. This is your last chance to evacuate, because there's going to be traffic jams, all backed up all the way, and if you're stuck on the highway in a traffic jam and those winds start coming, that's even worse than being in a house. So if you're going to get out of the way, you need to get moving now.
Curious that you mentioned that. I've never heard, I might just be ignorant, of any stories of big problems happening with evacuations, that they ran out of time and they're still queuing out when the hurricane comes.
Yes, there was.
Rita is probably the biggest one.
That was before it came, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm talking about the evacuation taking place too late, that the hurricane's already arrived
Oh.
during the evacuation.
A
I mean,
great
well,
example.
By then,
heard-
usually governmental authorities have shut down the roads.
Yeah, everyone's usually put into a shelter by that point.
But
That's where on.
a great example of that is Opal. The rains from Opal was starting to pick up, and there was a mass exodus of people trying to get out at the last moment, and the officials just said, go to the local shelter and hope for the best because it's
Right.
pretty much it was the traffic was so bad they weren't able to get out.
Yeah.
And just picking up on that, silent a comment, they're shutting down the Pensacola Bridge soon. Now that would be what, North Florida
Soon.
region?
That would be towards the Alabama border. So Pensacola, you're not going to be within the core of hurricane force winds, but you're still going to see some obviously significant impacts with any hurricane making landfall near you. You're going to see some sort of significant impact from wind, rain, not necessarily surge because you're on the west side of the storm. So surge in Pensacola is not going to be as significant of an issue, but still, I mean, you're going to have those bridges closed down again once you do reach 40 miles an hour, basically gale force winds. That's when everything starts to shut down on the bridges. So, and then if once you accelerate past that, then again, like Devin said, the government starts closing off all roads and you just get put into a shelter. But again, Pensacola, that's probably not going to be as big of an issue because, I mean, again, you're further away from the core.
And if I just want to ask,
cloud tops wrapping all the way around the eye now in the latest frame.
Yeah.
now, I also cited a question about once Michael makes landfall,
Oh, yeah,
how
I saw that.
how quick is it going to? What speed? Or I should
How quickly
say,
will
how
it
quickly
weaken,
will it move?
basically?
Well, it's hard to tell. Usually very small storms, just as quickly, they weaken very quickly as well. And hope would be that this storm would weaken very quickly once it's inland. And that is reflected in the NHC forecast, that it ends up making landfall as a major hurricane. 12 hours later, it's only a tropical storm in southwestern Georgia. So it's likely to lose intensity very quickly.
And Devin, noting your location, would you get any impact? And I note,
Nope.
I haven't checked the advisory for the NHC, but isn't it supposed to veer off to the northeast, intensify as a extratropical system?
It ain't
Yeah.
gonna come. Yeah, but it ain't gonna come anywhere near me.
So it would veer to the northeast, south of your location.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, it's gonna be a good 500 miles to the south of me at the very
Right,
least.
thank you.
Yeah, as an extratropical cyclone, it's likely just to veer straight northeast, potentially impacting Atlantic Canada as a weakening, still pretty intense extratropical cyclone.
It should actually stay to the south of Atlantic Canada even.
Yeah, but then you also have a bunch of polar convection that will likely move right over and cause some pretty significant impacts as well.
Yep.
And Nathan,
Yeah.
sorry, I was just going to ask Lee. He's here in the studio. He's up there in
I'm here
Scotland.
too. I'm in Scotland.
And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, Lee, on Michael.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that it's got this strong and it's still strengthening, as Devin and Rest and Hank have all been saying, that it's still strengthening right now, actually. And I would be surprised to see Cat 4 out of this system. And when you mentioned it coming off that coast, coming off the northeast coast, I'm not ruling out Michael possibly being a Redmond system for the UK further down the line as well.
There,
Oh,
Nathan,
dear, oh
one
dear.
for
It
you.
could get into the Jets tune, but we'll keep an eye on that.
Anyways,
Oh dear, oh
we
dear.
have.
Anyway, here we go.
Yeah, let's move on.
Anyways,
Poor old
we
UK.
have a newcomer onto the stream.
Do we?
Tim, are you here?
Tim's not a newcomer. Not as new. He's somewhat new. Tim, are you here?
Well, he just came
Yes,
He's
I
been
am.
in
I'm
the
here.
chat for a while.
Welcome back, Tim.
Thank you.
I didn't know you
Your
were here.
thoughts?
Well, I wanted to be silent because I know we're live, so I was doing the courteous thing.
Go right ahead. You're in the path of the
But,
storm, aren't you? Another one.
Well, yeah, I guess the way the NHC track is taking it, when the 5 o'clock advisory came out, I was still at work, but I ended up getting an alert that my area is under a tropical storm watch and flash flood watch. So, less than a month after we dealt with Florence, now we're looking at another one coming our way.
All right. I need to point out the latest satellite imagery. We're looking at the latest there. That eye deepening. Well, I shouldn't necessarily say deepening. It's just that it's clearing.
Well,
Yeah,
it looks
it's
pretty
just
good.
looking more and more and more scary by the minute. I mean,
And the westward jog, which can mean a lot at this particular moment.
I'm not really seeing a westward jog, but I am seeing
Just the
that
last few
all the
minutes. Tiniest
like
of
to jump-
jogs.
I'd like to jump in that the latest drop zone just came in.
Okay.
They got 955 millibars with a 16 knot wind. So the pressure is likely down to 952 at this moment. Maybe even 951.
Yeah, so just further indication that the storm continues to deepen really quickly, and you can also see that very evidently on satellite. I mean, I was hoping this wouldn't happen. We were hoping this wouldn't happen, but convection is really beginning to wrap around basically the entire core right now.
It is.
And, I mean, I'm trying to contain myself just looking at that, but that's just terrifying to me. I mean, you can only
And
really
I'm looking at images. I'm looking at images that are 45 minutes out of date.
Yeah, I'm looking at basically live imagery, and this thing is at least 80, negative 85 cloud tops surrounding pretty much the entire core right now, with the eye beginning to clear out pretty quickly, and it's relatively symmetric too.
And I don't want to fearmonger here, but when we're talking with these cold medium gray cloud tops wrapping all the way around the eye, if the eye's able to clear all the way out, and it has to go all the way here, and the storm is able to stay relatively symmetric, we'll be looking at the very least, a Cat 5.
Yeah, I'm not.
A question and
Go ahead.
Question mark?
Like
A question
I said, the eye's got to clear all the way out, and I don't think it'll be able to do that in 24 hours, but...
I must say, so far, the HWRF has done a very good job from its early runs.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are they saying, Nathan?
They said Category 3 and 4. In general.
And I was hesitant to believe it at first, and when this thing started moving through the Yucatans, it's like, well, this actually might be right.
So we think it's on the way to Category 4. We look at those cloud tops, and we've seen worse looking Category 4s.
Yeah, it is definitely on its way to Category 4. Hopefully it doesn't intensify further than that.
There's a question in chat saying someone lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he's wondering if Michael's going to hit him.
Well, yeah, you will get
Charlotte,
some
North
impacts
Carolina.
from Michael. It won't be, I mean, obviously won't be as strong as it is now, but you're still going to see pretty heavy rainfall, high winds that can cause tree damage, power outages possibly, and, flooding that could potentially occur from soil that's already highly saturated, even after Florence. So, anywhere in North Carolina, still pretty
6 to
significant
10
impact
inches,
from
did you say?
Florence. Possibly 10 inches. I mean, it wouldn't take much at all to cause flooding there.
And 38% chance of tropical storm force winds over there in Charlotte.
Yeah, even weak tropical storm force winds.
Alright, someone's doing something in the background over there. I don't know what's going on. We just need to...
weak tropical storm force winds can cause significant power outages, and damage to tree limbs, roofs, structures. I mean, don't take it lightly, even though it's not going to be hitting you as what it is now.
So
Now,
Recon
how
are
do-
still in the plane right now, correct? Recon are still in the storm right now. not in
No,
the
I
Yeah,
don't think
Recon's
they're in
always
the
in the plane.
plane. That would be interesting if we had Recon inside of the Recon.
No.
Yeah, that would be.
Oh god.
That would be fun. But
They're in the storm.
yeah,
Yeah.
they are in the storm.
So does that mean the NHC are gonna wait till the very last moment to do their update shortly?
As always.
So the NOAA mission has left the eye. They got the drop zone of 955, like Devin said. The Air Force mission is probably going through the Eyewall right now, or getting close to the Eyewall right now, but it hasn't updated in at least the past 30 minutes. So once we do get that update, we'll probably be seeing it moving through the Eyewall of Michael pretty soon. So we'll just have to wait for the update on that, though.
Oh my.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I muted.
Yeah, Devon really is fighting off illness in the last day or two.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
So as it stands right now, Michael is still 249 miles from Panama City. And Hank, you were talking about how it was in the very center of the cone. Do you really think it's going to go that far? It's going to, go west of... What is it called, that bit that juts out? It must have a name.
I don't know exactly what the name is. I think it's Appalachia Point. I don't if that correct. I mean, that's probably wrong, but that's what I would assume it would be called. I mean, the core could easily go right over Panama City, but again, there's a cone for a reason. The center of Michael could deviate anywhere within the cone. And in fact, I'll actually pull up a little bit of an interactive graphic.
I still don't think I'll be able to
recent-
receive it from you, unfortunately, because of glitches that are going on. But I can show people the cone itself, because we haven't actually shown that on our talking part yet. There is the latest
Okay, so
cone.
basically right now, the cone extends from Destin, Florida to Apalachicola, Florida. So anywhere between those two locations could see the landfall of Michael, and it's very unlikely at this point that it will deviate outside of that range. The center of that would just so happen to be around Panama City, which is a pretty major major settlement, but it's a pretty sizable community there along the panhandle of Florida. I've been there myself, and I can tell you that there are certainly some structures in Panama City that can not withstand winds as high as Michael could potentially deliver, with wind gusts possibly as high as 150, 155 miles per hour for wind gusts. There's some structures down there that can't withstand that in the slightest. So we could see some pretty significant wind damage in Panama City. Doesn't really matter if the core moves either west or east, you're still going to see wind damage. Now, if the core moves west of Panama City, that means you're getting more into the storm surge aspect of it, and you might even see some stronger winds. But either way, you're still going to see a very significant hurricane, regardless of track. This is going to be one that is going to be very significant for the region. No doubt in my mind at this point.
Now we also do have two other systems potentially impacting land shortly as well in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, they're just cycling across the screen there. Cyclone... Oh, I keep forgetting its name. Luban and Tiddly in the Bay of Bengal. As you can see there's Michael, or not. The imagery is not up to scratch at the minute. I'm just going to do what Hank was doing earlier on by showing the interactive track map. Hopefully it'll appear on the screen shortly. All that imagery not being there is not my fault, by the way. Go 16 has some sort of outage, but that's why I guess it's not still declared operational yet, is it?
Go 16 has.
Some of the products still have those disclaimers on them.
Yeah, that's Go 17.
I'm sure some Go 16 still has it on. Anyway, there's that interactive map, because the National Hurricane Center's actual map is very zoomed out because it shows what happens later on. So just to get a zoom in on this, the cone extends, as we saw, as Hank told you, just east of Fort Walton Beach. Is where the cone starts, and the cone ends sort of around Apalachicola, I believe. That is where the center of the storm could track.
Yeah, so basically anywhere within that cone that you see on your screen, anywhere within that region could see the core of Michael move through tomorrow. It could. The chance of it deviating outside are very unlikely at this point, considering that landfall is so close now. And again, don't focus on that center line. Just
Focus
because,
on
again,
that green circular outline. That's the tropical storm force wind field.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's going to be moving as far west as potentially Mobile, and as far east as, say, Cedar Key, Homosassa Springs, maybe even Sarasota near Tampa. And
I think the tropical storm force wind should stay off the east coast of Tampa.
I'm saying north of Tampa it could potentially hit. And then the yellow outline is 50 knot winds, and then that orange in there, 50 knots, about 58 miles an hour or higher. And then that orange in there is hurricane force winds, 74 miles an hour or higher. And basically anywhere within that cone is where, if the center line does verify, anywhere in the cone is likely to see hurricane force winds, or at least
Major
very
hurricane
close
force
to
winds.
hurricane force winds in those very outer fringes. But still, either way, destructive, damaging winds coming regardless of anything.
Are you coming to the same disturbing conclusion that I am, that it looks to me as though no matter where in the cone this storm goes, Panama City would still get hurricane force winds?
Yeah.
Likely. 1 second. I think Recon is trying to update right now. They're getting into the core. Not quite in the Eyewall, in the brunt of the Eyewall just yet, but they are receiving flight level winds of about 84 knots. They're not quite in the core yet, so they'll be getting there pretty shortly. Probably by the end of the hour.
They definitely got in the core by now. We just need the data to come through.
Yeah, the data. Yeah, they're definitely in it right now. But the last report observation was
23:26.
That's 6:26 Central Time. So that was about 15 minutes ago. So it's probably in there now. We just have to wait for the actual data to update.
We're now looking at the storm surge flooding map potential on the screen from the National Hurricane Center. And you can see there greater than 9 feet above ground in these areas here. It doesn't actually look as bad for the Bend region as it did last night, and I guess that's because the track has shifted west slightly.
That's just because the consensus has become a bit more confident today, as it naturally would as the storm approaches landfall. So, and landfall in Panama City wouldn't mean that surge in Appalachia Bay would be as significant as it would be as if it would have hit near, say, Apalachicola or Mexico.
It's probably going to be
Beach.
more significant, actually.
Sorry, say that again?
It's probably going to be more significant in that location.
Yeah, it's going to be more significant within the Apalachicolas. Apalachicola could see 9, potentially as high as 13-foot storm surge amounts. Sounds like a lot. It is a lot.
Mm.
So if you're living in those areas, again, if you haven't evacuated yet, you need to as soon as you possibly can, and do so before at least 4 o'clock in the morning, because that's when winds are going to start approaching tropical storm force, and that's when, again, if you're just joining in, that is when multiple bridges start to close down, and then past that, even just regular roads start to close down, and you'll be forced to hunker down in a shelter, and you'll be released once the storm finally passes.
All right.
So get out now. Don't try and go into the storm path. Try and go, say, if it's possible, try and go to the east, say towards Orlando, because they're probably going to be seeing very minimal impacts from Michael. So somewhere like that would be ideal. But if you can't, then just try and see how far east you can get if you're in, say, the Apalachicola area. If you're in Panama City, just go anywhere but east. Just go anywhere but east, is what I would say to you.
You can go decently far west, and I would think that you would travel less ground if you end up going west, because all that you need to do is get past Mobile, and you should be okay.
You could get to Pensacola, and you could be fine. Yeah,
Yeah, I would think that going west out of Panama City would be the easier way to go rather than clogging everything up and going east. Because
Yeah, I was saying go.
undoubtedly,
I was saying just go anywhere but east.
yeah.
Recon is yet to update. National Hurricane Center is yet. Actually, National Hurricane Center just updated. They dropped the pressure down to 953, but the winds have remained steady at 120.
Now, Hank, what's the latest image that you have? For infrared.
As valid as of 2340 UTC, so that's about 6 minutes old right now. I could refresh it.
2341 here.
So you're way ahead
Actually,
of me.
2344 here.
Ooh.
So
I'm at 2300 here.
Ouch.
So I am way behind.
I'm at 2343.
Yeah, is my screen share working right now? Because I hope to God it is.
Hank,
No,
I don't know
you're
why.
not even visible.
I don't know
You're
why
not
none of this
invisible.
is working. It's only you that's got the problem for some reason. I don't know what it is. You might have to try coming back. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll just let me turn it off real quick and see if that works.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'd also like to see if Levy is here. Is Levy here?
Tim,
Yeah, I'm still
Hey,
here.
Levy. Tim.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Do you have that information that you shared last night? And if you still have it, are you able to relay it to people who maybe deciding to evacuate now?
Yeah, I can pull it up and we can do another recap on it here in a few minutes.
All right.
All right, so is it functioning now?
I see it.
no, I don't know what's going on.
I see it as well, Hank.
Oh my good
Yeah,
lord.
I've got it on now.
Oh well.
Yeah, I
Nathan?
see it myself.
Got it?
It's not in the stream, but it's.
Devin, what are your thoughts right now after you see the latest imagery?
So what are you looking at, Hank? And maybe I can get up something similar.
I'm looking at the College of DuPage right now,
The what?
which the College of. I'll just type it.
Yes. But which variant of the imagery are you looking at?
Band 14.
Band 14. Okay, we'll try and get band 14. Is that just the unenhanced infrared?
It's the long wave.
I cannot find Dvorak imagery for anything after 2300.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't be able to.
So
It comes in
and I
Focus on a
just
variant of
I
the
just
unenhanced
took a look.
imagery.
I just took a look at the rapid scan floater on Slider, and good lord.
Yeah, Slider you could find. It's underneath the Mesoscale 1 option. You could see if you could probably get pretty up-to-date imagery there.
As we
Looking
continue
at
to look
the-
at those cloud tops which are continuing to build, there's a massive bulk now of minus 70 cloud tops or lower in the northwestern side and the southern side.
And it's definitely looking more healthier. I think the eye's now visible. Am I right to say that?
That's quite clear.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
very,
just looking
very
at the stream. So,
this still isn't coming through on the AF301.
Yeah, I'm not getting any results there.
But the NOAA 2 will probably be going through the center of the storm, I would say roughly 45 minutes ish. It'll be a little bit yet.
Okay, I've got that hurricane safety checklist again. You guys wanted to go over it one last time before it gets too late.
One last time. That's ominous.
Well,
Go ahead.
We know landfall's imminent. Again, we had this on stream last night, but for those down Panama City area, you can look at this on hurricanesafety.org/prepare/hurricane safety checklist. And this kind of gives an idea of what you should have at this point. If you don't have it now, it's pretty much too late. But if you have taken the time to be well prepared, you should have a lot of this stuff already stockpiled, and it should get you through everything that you're going to be going through with this pending storm. Some of the tips it does list is at least 1 gallon per person per day, 2 quarts for drinking, others for food preparation and sanitation. Big thing I see on this in terms of food, non-perishable food is a big one.
Yeah.
I know going through Florence, myself personally, looking at the local stores, I saw a lot of people grabbing milk, bread. Those are going to be good in the short term, but if you're without power for more than 3 or 4 days or more, your milk is going to spoil, your bread's going to get moldy, and it's not going to be edible. So you want things that are going to be cans. If you do lose power, make sure to have a hand crank can opener so you can actually open those up. There are
Also
a few other
something
ones
that-
here. Go ahead.
Something that's also pretty good is try and get like what I think would be a decent idea. Try and get like bags of chips. Those are usually able to sustain themselves for quite a while because they don't need refrigeration or anything like that. So
Exactly.
if you just get like a bag, buy like a bag of tortilla chips, and you should be fine for like carbohydrates or anything.
Yeah.
But for the protein items, like Tim said, get the canned stuff. I know it's gross.
This is also gonna sound. This is also gonna sound crazy, but 100%. Get yourself a jar of peanut butter.
Yeah.
That stuff.
can't-
That stuff will last years.
We-
Extremely filling. That gets you your protein. That gets you your calories. I mean, even if you don't have
Right.
bread to enjoy it with, you at least have something fulfilling. At least something to eat. And
We-
it's
What about
And as long as you have water.
Isaac has
Recon made a
views.
Recon made a pass of Hurricane Michael just now. Data seems to be messed up on my end, so I don't know what exactly its strength is currently.
Here,
According to Recon.
there's a gap in the data that
Oh,
goes
that's-
right through the core.
That's brilliant.
Oh, damn it.
That's
Yep.
brilliant.
Yep. Gap in the data.
That's
That's
something that
That's
something
bad.
I didn't. Yeah, something I didn't touch on last night's stream that I'm going to touch on tonight is
Please.
I know Florida is definitely has a lot of areas of elderly and senior citizens. Even them, they definitely have to pay special attention. If you have any kind of medication that you're on, make sure you have more than a week's supply in case roads are closed, flooded out, where you can't get to your local pharmacy to have these items. And don't forget about your pets. I know there's a lot of people that have pets. They're gonna need the same care as you would as a human. Make sure that they also have sufficient food. Water might be hard, so you might have to ration an extra half gallon or a gallon of water for your furry friends and take care of them as well.
Yeah, like I saw a lot during Florence, just videos of dogs that were left behind at the homes. Yeah, bring your pets, like always.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, don't leave those things out if you evacuate, because one, you might never see them again. Two, they might escape. And three, it's just better for them. It's better for you. Just don't leave your pets. Bring them with you if you're evacuating. If you're going to a
And
shelter,
if you are in a situation where you cannot bring your pets, there are shelters for them. Use
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
And
There.
and I know we're just kind of covering this briefly, but the website again for those that want to look more in depth, it is hurricanesafety.org/prepare/hurricane safety checklist. Again, if you guys have not done any things on your checklist, probably have less than 12 hours to get any or all of this together. You can.
Yeah, and I guess it sort of goes into a question I wanted to bring up earlier, and just your observations. We've seen this storm develop very quickly indeed. Has it caught people off guard?
definitely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, originally this thing was supposed to make landfall as a tropical storm, and now it's a Category 3 hurricane, may make landfall as 4. So, I mean, one, you could kind of get on the intensity guidance, but again, we always kind of stresses that intensity forecasting are where we perform the worst, generally with tropical cyclones. Track, we got pretty good. I mean, we're pretty much spot on with track pretty early on. Basically, landfall here in the Florida Panhandle, that hasn't changed basically since advisories were initiated. But the intensity has doubled. So,
Yep.
just always have in mind that something like this could happen. It could get a lot worse than you might be thinking. If you're looking at some of those model graphics where it has that one outlier model that just kind of spikes up and you're just like, that won't happen. Think that it will. Think that the worst could happen. Just it helps you, maybe not with your anxiety, but it does help with actually knowing what to expect in terms of what to prepare for. So if you do prepare, so say the storm is coming in like as a, for any storm you should be taking it extremely seriously. But
Hold on, there's too much noise somewhere.
Michael, jeez.
Who's making that noise?
I don't know.
Not sure. I also lost my train of thought, so that's brilliant.
I know. We'll pick it up after the end of the break. I'll throw it back to you,
Alright.
Hank, and we'll talk more about that shortly. Stay tuned. This is Force 13 Live, entering another hour shortly of more live discussion. We'll have the latest on Michael as it continues to intensify. Our live coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website, force13.com, our YouTube page, youtube.com/Force13, on Facebook under the same name, Force13, and our Twitter handle, it's @Force13 if you wish to get in touch. You can also add Force13 on Skype and my personal account on Discord, Fool13, at extension 9094. You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. hour number 2 of the latest in a long line of live streams that we'll be doing on Force 13 Live. This is the latest on Hurricane Michael, really starting to get its act together and could be on the verge of reaching Category 4 status later on tonight. At the moment, it's still a Category 3 with winds of 120 miles per hour and a pressure estimated 953 millibars. My name's Nathan Foy, presenting here again for the second hour tonight, and joining me as always is my established team, and they've been talking with you about this storm over the last hour, offering their thoughts, and they will do again now. Hank, you lost your train of thought before that break. You were talking about... In fact, do I have everyone here? I think I can hear them. So,
We're here.
Hank, you were talking about... Is he there? I still can't see him visible, but he was talking about models and how some of them...
He's muted.
Taking the worst case scenario and whatnot.
Oh yeah, he's got
There's a
he's got a
dog
technical issue.
Yeah.
Nathan, can I just interrupt and say that on
Yes.
Twitter, if
Who's
Just
that?
make the noise on to mute.
sorry viewers,
Go.
it's being reported, and I'm just waiting to see if any other media outlets pick it up. And the photo's on heading towards Cat 4, so possibly Cat 4 status on Landfall.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I think we.
Does anybody disagree with that?
I wouldn't disagree, but I wouldn't
think
say
it'll be
it's
quicker than
certainly
that,
going
David.
to happen.
I don't think that we're saying Cat 4 landfall here.
Yes.
Considering that it looks like a Cat 4 on satellite right now.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
So that takes us to possibly a mid-range Cat
Whoa,
4.
slow down.
I
It's
don't-
not a Category
I
4
don't know.
yet.
We're just waiting for the winds to catch up. The pressure is there. The satellite appearance is there. We're just waiting for the winds to catch up.
Exactly.
And how long does that normally take?
A few hours at least.
Right.
David, it wouldn't take
Long
that
after
long.
we're
System
long
with this.
after we're off the air. But seriously, like the satellite appearance is there. The pressures are there for it to be a Cat 4. We're just waiting for the winds to catch up.
Now, we've seen some unconfirmed reports of pressures sinking beneath 950 millibars. Is that true or false?
Well, that might have been with the faulty recon data from the AF301. I don't know. Well, let's see here. We have drop 9.
Means nothing to me.
See here, drop 9, we have 954 millibars with a 15 knot wind.
Yeah, I think we spoke about that one earlier on, and that's what made
That
us
was
think.
that was from the NOAA 2 when there was a 955 millibar drop with a 16 knot wind. Now we have a 955 with a 15 knot wind. So is that 940s yet? I don't think so,
No.
but very close. Very, very, very close.
Indeed.
We continue to glare at it on our screen. If you've got any questions for us in this hour, we're here till the end of said hour. Start your message with Force 13 all in text, and it will light up big and bright for us, and we'll be able to respond. In the meantime, we'll just be talking to you about what our observations are right now. Still, the storm yet to reach, the edges of the storm yet to reach land properly. The peripheral's just arriving at the minute. There's a long way to go in the next 18 hours, but, well, I suppose I should talk a little bit about how is this storm supposed to accelerate over the next 24 to 48 hours. Would anyone like to comment?
Well, I haven't actually taken a look at the raw model runs, so
Its current movement is 12 miles per hour. That hasn't changed very much today.
from what I understand, we have a very powerful weather system currently moving through the central United States that's creating a very powerful winter storm over the Rockies and tornado conditions in the Midwest, and that's going to pick up Michael and send it off to the east.
Yeah, that's the main crux behind its movement and its directional change as it goes off towards the northeast. It's quite common for Storm to do something like this at this time of year in track. The eye continuing to clear out on those latest frames.
Yeah, it's just a wait and see game right here, and seeing, like Devin said earlier, how long
Who's
it'll
showing
take for the
that
winds to
radar?
catch up to the presser. It's me.
Let's show it on the stream right now. That is the eye of Michael appearing on which radar?
This is Orlando, I believe. Tampa radar. I'm afraid, yeah, Tampa radar. This is long range radar, and you can see the Eyewall appearing there on satellite. Let me get my
And that is hidden as well.
see.
So
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
that is extremely hidden behind all of the other layers of the storm. So we're not even seeing just how strong that eyewall is.
Exactly, and since this is long range, it's not picking up the true strength of this Eyewall here. So,
Not picking it up at all.
but you could make out a basic structure of the Eyewall here as it creeps into the range of the Tampa radar. But just interesting. I thought I'd share that with you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Here's some more imagery showing how the storm's been developing. This imagery is only ever about 7 minutes old, so it keeps updating as we do throughout this hour. And those colours keep getting deeper in the centre of the eye, and now it looks like we're down to maybe minus 40s.
Yeah, that would,
Ooh,
it
wow.
would be fantastic if I could look at it.
Wow, look at that eye.
I am still struggling to find any BD loop imagery of the storm.
Don't think the Ghost 16 products offer many of those either.
And yeah, well, I just switched over to the rapid on slider, even though I doesn't have the imagery that I really want to look at.
A reminder that the National Hurricane Center is predicting 9 to 13 feet of storm surge from Mexico Beach to Keaton Beach, Florida. Devon, you think that's too low? Am I right?
Yeah, after looking at the eye clearing out,
Where's he gone?
it seems.
All right.
It seems.
We're now
as
talking to
though,
Orlando, is that right?
Yeah, but looking at the eye now, it's clearing out rapidly. I was expecting a more slower clearance, but now it just seems like it's coming out really nicely and really smoothly, and that's really bad. So.
Oh man, the eye is really. I'm looking at this on the rapid scan, and the eye is really starting to come out.
Yeah, it just happened in like the last couple of frames, which is amazing. And
Yeah,
like,
look at that. Wow.
it just leaves anyone that sees it like us in absolute awe, because no one would. I don't think anyone could say that we'd expect this a few hours ago.
We've got lots of questions that we may as well go and take here. Could the damage caused by Michael be worse than Ivan or Dennis? It's a good start. Asking, could the damage caused by Michael be worse than Ivan or Dennis?
Ivan, no. I can definitely say that for sure. Dennis, we'd have to see. It all depends on how destructive this storm is in Panama City.
Now another frame coming in on that imagery. Eye temperature looks like in the minus 30s now.
Yeah, eye is very quickly clearing out.
Yeah,
And
that's very concerning.
And we're talking like here. There's absolutely no denying that this is at least a Cat 4 now, and this is still strengthening. So
Yes, if it
I'm
wasn't
not going
bad
to be the
enough.
person to go there, but I'm going there.
I mean, the which one is that? The NOAA aircraft is taking a slice through the southwest quadrant, and then after they get the center sample, they're going to be sampling the northeast, and we'll see exactly what they find there. It could be, yeah, it could be supportive of Cat 4.
Devon, what was the
Yeah.
CDPS rating for Dennis?
Dennis? Let me look that up real quick.
Someone asked something like that and how you would compare it to Dennis on the
Yep.
CDPS scale.
My guess is going to be very comparable. Because Dennis, I think, had a larger tropical storm force wind field, but the hurricane wind field size is pretty similar. So let's see here. That gets a total of that. Go back over here.
Feels weird that
And
we're-
yeah, Dennis is basically rated the exact same, borderline stage 5 and 6.
Feels kind of weird that we're comparing two storms that, yeah, they hit the same area, but they occurred 3 months apart in the year simultaneously. So,
I know it's that is
That's-
just how crazy the 2005 Atlantic hurricane season was,
yeah,
and B, just how crazy this storm is.
yeah.
But yeah, this is something that I was drawing in my mind, is that there are some parallels here between Michael and Dennis. So if this thing keeps intensifying, there might be another storm to draw comparisons to, and no, it's not the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, not Opal.
Definitely not Opal. Opal was much larger. Much
Okay.
larger. About triple
Yeah.
the size of this system.
Looking at the imagery here, I have some imagery on my screen really crudely done here because I don't have any screen sharing capabilities, but you can see, looks like the eyewall, the eye itself is starting to really kind of make its presence known there. That's really concerning. Wow.
No, stop going to the proving ground. There's nothing there.
What?
Random
Is that a
comment
new
of the
image?
evening provided by Devon. Just trying to get a zoom on the storm right now. Here it is.
Man, look at that. It's starting to really clear out. This is really concerning.
The situation's not looking good at all.
And again, if you haven't evacuated yet, you pretty much have till about 4 in the morning or so, especially if you're in close to the coastline, to pretty much evacuate. Because once those winds reach about 40 miles an hour, you're done. Like, you either go to a shelter right out at your house, preferably at a shelter, and ride this thing out the best you possibly can, and hopefully you'll get through it fine without too much harm. Make sure you have all your essentials with you. You have all your important documents sealed in a watertight bag, placed on a preferably high part of your house, so if a storm surge does come in, hopefully it wouldn't make it float away. And just make sure you're prepared for this thing. This is the real deal here, as you're seeing in the latest imagery that Nathan has on stream here. Just
Updating
dire
every
situa-
minute or so, and
yeah.
I'm just wondering what I can grasp from that, apart from the obvious eyewall structure there doesn't really seem to be changing very much. We do have other storms out there, of course, and someone did want to talk about Leslie on the comments section. I don't know if anyone wants to sum it up in 10 words or less.
Yeah, Leslie's pretty simple. It's in the middle of nowhere right now. It's heading towards the Canary Islands, and it's likely going to backtrack across the Atlantic and still hit nothing. So, yeah, there you go. Leslie's taken care of.
And being that in the Atlantic Basin, pretty much just a gnat that won't go away.
Yeah, it's just there. That's basically what it is.
It's just existing, pretty
It
much.
could
It's
be.
just
I mean, it could bring tropical storm force winds to the Canary Islands. So, and there's only one Atlantic storm that's ever done that. So, there you go.
That was Delta.
Also from 2005.
Delta. If you do have any questions, we'll take them though. Oh, what about Nadine?
It's
Nadine,
gonna die soon. Don't worry about it.
Nadine is even. You think that Nadine tops Leslie.
Okay.
It somehow manages to do that.
Explain.
Well, it is currently 40 miles an hour. It's currently in the middle of nowhere, and it's moving northwest into even more the middle of nowhere, and it's going to dissipate.
Excellent. That's that over with.
And then we have Sergio.
Now
Sergio.
we do have two potential hurricanes making landfall in the Indian Ocean. Those are probably worth talking about for a little bit at the very least.
Well, we could do. First of all, we've got Cyclone Luban, which could still be a threat to Oman, but it's looking like it's sinking further south now.
Yeah, it looks like it's
Yemen.
likely going to dissipate before it gets there, but right now JTWC has a forecast of 80 knots. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Chapala that hit in a very similar area.
Akunu.
No.
Oh wait, no, never mind.
Meg
Never mind.
was,
Wrong
Meg was
area.
further south, but I think Chapala was in that area at a similar forecasted intensity. So I would imagine something similar to that.
Not the Category 5 Chapala.
Yeah, the
You mean Meg?
Yeah, the Category 5 Chapala that weakened significantly before landfall.
Okay.
With most of these these storms that affect India and around those areas, unfortunately, they tend to be more on the deadly side. Unfortunately,
and I was about to comment on that because we have a potentially very dangerous situation going on with Titli, which has very cold cloud tops and is developing rather rapidly right now in the Bay of Bengal, expected to make landfall in India as a Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson scale.
HWRF had a Category 4 for this.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I don't know if
nonsense.
it's going to get that far because it doesn't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
But 70 knots via GTWC, and it's going to move off to the north and east towards Kolkata, which is a very large population center.
Sure is.
Yeah, that could be destructive.
Well, that summarizes the Indian Ocean activity. That's probably about as much time as we can afford it.
Yeah, it was definitely worth touching on, but right now we have definitely the biggest threat right now
Developing
is
situation.
extremely dangerous Hurricane Michael.
Is
Yeah, I
there
have some
any
really
new-
crude imagery up of it right now here. If it's not bad enough to screen share.
We're
Yeah.
in 10 different places at the minute. There is that imagery. Orlando, did
Can
you
really
want to
see
say
that
something
eye.
there?
We should be
yeah.
getting.
I was just going to restate the fact that the eye is really clearing out now, and that could be spurring up more trouble than already is present.
Yeah, I was about to say that Raycon is going to get a pass through the eye here momentarily, and we're going to get data for that in about 5 minutes.
I need to. Okay, I'll be back.
Again, those latest frames showing pretty warm temperatures in the eye, getting warmer. Let's just see if we can... I don't know if this works anymore, but it used to be that we could find out what the eye temperature was directly on the satellite imagery, but at the minute it's not working. Oh, it's gone completely. Excellent. What on earth happened there? Alright, I'll try and do that behind the scenes and see what happens. But for the time being, there's the track map for Michael, and expected to still be a tropical storm as it moves through South Carolina.
Yeah, like right now, main focus. Well, the main thing we're waiting for right now is new recon data, and that could provide more information on the rate of intensification and development of
Here we go.
the storm.
Latest eye temperature minus 18 degrees Celsius on satellite. Of course, the warmer the eye temperature, it denotes a more intense storm, a more strong storm, as well as those very high cloud tops. Colder temperatures in the cloud tops denote higher clouds. Higher clouds mean more energy, more convection, and ultimately, if it's sustained and over a large area, a stronger storm. David, you got anything for us? Oh,
Nathan, you said minus 18?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay.
Well, there's another radar perspective. And that is the edge of the storm's eye just about coming into the radar scope. Is there much activity going on land right now?
I don't think so quite yet. I mean, the very outer bands haven't quite reached land yet, so I would imagine that it wouldn't be too significant right now. Another point to know is that the recon plane of the NOAA mission is probably entering the eye right now. Our last update was as of, let's see, yeah, that was as of 7:10 Central Time, so it's been 12 minutes since then, so it's likely about to enter or entering the eye right now as we speak. So I'll get back to you guys once.
When do you think that might be?
3 minutes. 3 minutes tops.
Yeah, the
NOAA planes are quicker to update usually than the Air Force ones, so this one should.
Yeah, the Air Force one just decided to didn't update, unfortunately.
Just skip the entire core, but they did actually get a drop zone in there. I think it said 954. I think it said with a
954, 15 knot wind.
Yeah, something like that.
Let's just remind everyone of the latest warnings that are in effect from this storm right now whilst we wait for that new information. Storm surge warning for Okaloosa, Walton County line, Florida to Anclote River. Storm surge watch from Anclote River to Anna Maria Island, including Tampa Bay, and the Alabama-Florida border to Okaloosa, Walton County line. A hurricane warning for the Alabama-Florida border to Suwannee River, Florida. Tropical storm warning for that same Alabama-Florida border to the Mississippi-Alabama border, Suwannee River, Florida to Chassahowitzka, and Fernandina Beach to South Santee River, South Carolina. A tropical storm watch for Chassahowitzka to Anna Maria Island, including Tampa Bay, the Mississippi-Alabama border to the mouth of the Pearl River, South Santee River to Duck, North Carolina, and the Pamlico and Albemarle Sounds. And we talked about the surge earlier, up to 13 feet possible on Mexico Beach, Florida to Keaton Beach and all points in between.
Well, this is it.
Isaac?
Man, I'm right now. I'm kind of just waiting for this recon plane to come in, but it has the eye. What's the current eye temperature now?
Isaac, that imagery you're showing us there, is that indicative of what it actually is? We'll show it if it is.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. That's the plane going through the center.
Yeah, it just went through.
949.
949.
Oh.
940, 948.
Let's see, I'm seeing 950, and then a 949, yeah. And then it's going through the northeastern quadrant right now, getting 130 knot flight level winds.
Oh,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's Cat 4.
Yep.
That's Cat 4.
oh boy.
Hello.
There's absolute. They're gonna have to put out a special advisory and upgrade this. Like,
Yeah.
You guys able to hear me
and
now?
I think
Yeah.
I think the NHD are really gonna have to do hourly updates with this storm because that is
Yeah,
extremely concerning.
The recon found a minimum pressure of 948 millibars flight level from the
Well-
recent pass.
Well, also the altitude went really crazy. So let's just wait for the drop on that one.
Yeah.
The thing with the 949 reading is that it was accompanied with a 17 knot wind.
Like
So-
I said, if you take a look at the aircraft altitude and pressure, you'll see that the pressure's all over the place, the altitude's all over the place. So likely whatever the extrapolated pressure that they have there, probably a bit off. Wait for the drop.
Yeah, probably about
I
9.
am
When will
I
we get
imagine
news about that?
940.
Something like
About
that.
maybe 10, 15 minutes for the drop sound, going by their previous runs at that.
But yeah, Michael's a Cat 4 right now. I think that's pretty.
And
that's
we're what, 15 hours from landfall?
Yep.
18, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael means business right now.
Please
But didn't
tell me
mean
that
business
this
before.
thing. Please tell me this thing weakens before it gets to land.
It probably will, but it's probably not going to be enough to avoid for panhandle the floor to avoid damage.
And people should also know, just because this thing may weaken before landfall, that doesn't mean that the storm surge and rain and winds won't be that bad. This is still going to be a serious storm as it makes landfall.
Yeah, any hurricane landfall should take the utmost seriousness, especially one of Michael's caliber.
And even though Hurricane Florence may have made a Category 1 landfall, it was still quite deadly and intense over there. So it doesn't Category pretty much doesn't matter on how destructive a storm can be in these types of
Yeah,
situations.
well-
So if this storm,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
here's the thing, Isaac. The eye is clearing out significantly on Michael right now, and it is just an absolutely scary sight.
Yeah.
I don't really
minus
have
18
I don't-
Celsius at the latest satellite imagery.
still minus 18.
Not sure about the very latest, but that's what it, had earlier on. Somewhere around there. As soon as the imagery loads properly, we'll be able to see a whole loop of that. The eye really being more photogenic, I guess.
Well, the good thing right now is that the eye is not the metric. There's still not a decent. The CDO has excellent symmetry to it. The question is, how good will the eye get? Because the cloud tops are going to persist. The cloud tops are going to persist. There's nothing knocking these cloud tops out of the way. It's really how much can this core organize in the next 15 to 18 hours that will determine just how bad of an impact this might be for Panama City.
And surrounding areas.
This is an extremely dangerous storm to currently be in the way of. If you're in the Panama City area, you need to get away from this storm as fast as you can.
So how long
Period.
ago? How long ago did we have that -18I? Because it's still -18 now. I've verified.
All right. Well, good. Hopefully it stays -18.
I think it's had it for about an hour now, but don't quote me on that.
Not an hour, a few minutes.
Oh, that eye. Oh, I thought you were talking about the eye. Yeah.
The -18's only been around for a few minutes.
You can certainly
that's just
see what
around
it
the eye,
means to
so-
do, though. When you look at that imagery.
Yeah, you
What-
need to. All interests that anything that's going to be close to the core of this storm, you really need to get out of the way of this storm now.
Again, you have probably till 4 in the morning to evacuate for this thing, and even then, you might be a tad bit too late when those tropical storm force winds start to arrive.
I'm just going to butt in really quickly here. ATCF just updated for Michael. It says 110 knots. That might be a bit too conservative.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
the 130 knot flight level winds. I really think that is a ring in for a Cat 4.
Yeah.
The pressure is there for a Cat 4. The satellite appearance is there for a Cat 4. Cat 4.
Yeah, the pressure is down to 950 on the latest update, too, so... Yeah.
950?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
If you've got any questions for us whilst we tick down the last half hour of tonight's stream, send us a message. The stream will probably continue to run overnight tonight, showing you the latest imagery on the automated service. And I don't know what our schedule is for tomorrow because I'm actually not here for a good portion of the day. So we're still yet to work out what our schedule is going to be tomorrow. But for tonight, this is what we're looking at.
A monster.
True.
Hopefully, there should be shelters up right now. If you're wondering about bringing your dogs, please, there should be shelters that could accept pets and animals. I know there should be. If there isn't, then I don't. They must be not concerned about pets then. But again, you have probably till 4 in the morning, Eastern time to evacuate for this thing, and then after that point, it becomes really dicey, and you'll have to look for shelters that'll be still open or not full.
A question there from someone who says they're right by Thomasville. I assume that's the one in Georgia. Should I seriously consider evacuating? Southern Georgia, just on the border with Florida.
I don't know about evacuation.
Depends on how and where exactly, because you're farther west.
Just northeast of Tallahassee.
Oh,
From where?
Northeast of Tallahassee, Florida. Over the border in Georgia.
That might be. Yeah. If it depends on if you're in a flood prone area. If your area is known to flood, if it has flooded in the past, then it would probably be a good idea to possibly consider getting out if it's possible. But just gotta wait, and I guess we don't really have to wait and see, but rather just make sure that you know what to do just in case you decide that it is the best idea. I can't tell you the specifics because I don't know the exact specifics of your area and all that, but I can tell you that it might need to be an option just in case things go for the worst.
I would also add, if you live in a mobile home or house with a poor foundation, you should also consider leaving.
Also, some more news from the ATCF. Luban up to 75 miles an hour, according to that.
Oh, yeah. So
And
Luban is-
about Michael just then, briefly the eye temperature went to -17, but it looks like it's just going up a little bit again in those late frames.
I think they might update Leslie to a hurricane, honestly.
Speaking of the evacuation orders that we had last night, I've actually did a little bit of digging. There's a lot more evacuation orders and shelter information available now. This is off the floridadisaster.org website, and they have a pretty extensive list of counties that are evacuated. I'd like to go over if I may.
Please link that in chat so I could give it to the chat on YouTube if you can, Tim.
Yeah, I can do that, and I'll go over these as well. Bay County, which we discussed last night, coastal plain zones A, B, and C are under mandatory evacuation. Calhoun County is now under a voluntary phased evacuation. Citrus County is under a mandatory. Dixie County, mandatory. Gambia County, voluntary and phased, includes coastal zone A, Pensacola Beach, Perdido Key, and low-lying areas of Gambia County. Franklin County is under mandatory. Gadsden County, Gulf County, which also includes all the areas of Cape San Blas, all of Indian Pass area, Simmons Bayou, Highland View, Windmark, city of Port St. Joe, all areas of St. Joseph Bay down to the Strait of Long Avenue, St. Joe Beach and Beacon Hill. That's for the Gulf County. Hernando County is under voluntary and phased coastal zones A and B. Jackson County is mandatory. Jefferson County mandatory. Leon County voluntary and phased. Levy County mandatory. They have a website there for more information on that. Liberty County, Madison County, both voluntary and phased. Okaloosa County is mandatory, which that went into effect at 5 p.m. local time. Pasco County, Santa Rosa County, Taylor County, Cola County, Walton County, and Washington County. These are all areas that are mandatory or voluntary phased.
What was that last one again?
Washington County.
Okay. So I just...
Not a problem. And there is, I will also share a link in the Discord so we can get to the viewers. There is currently 29 shelters open in and around all these counties that are under evacuation. It has the addresses for all of them. So if people need to get to a shelter, this information you will want to look at. There are a couple pet-friendly ones, but you'll probably want to call these shelters ahead to see if they will take pets.
Yeah.
Is there an emergency hotline available right now that you know of, Tim?
Let me look if there is. Looking at the website, I don't see one. But if I do find one, I will let you guys know. It does say for some of the mobile apps, there's Florida Storms, which is an app there. You have Florida 511, which is their real-time traffic condition and incident information for the state of Florida. They recommend FEMA and the Red Cross. They also have what they call the private sector coordination, which they do have a hotline for that. That is 850-815-4925. The hotline is available for business inquiries about the storm, preparedness information, and post-impact information. So this is more for people that have companies down in the area and other businesses that may be affected.
Something's just caught my eye on the Twitter. Apparently, the Weather Channel's showing up on the Twitter that storm surge is now impacting parts of Florida.
Probably.
Yeah, there might be some minor coastal flooding here. I know we're not even in the path of the state, and over here we're getting some minor coastal flooding up to the sand dunes here from the influence of Michael.
Yes, and any more news from those recon planes? You were talking about a drop?
Not related to the drop, but I think the Air Force mission is heading back to base in Mississippi right now. So it looks like we're going to be losing that one. The NOAA plane, however, is still in the storm. No information on the drop just yet. Again, they did actually barely miss the actual center of lowest central pressure. So it is possible that this 949 millibar reading that they did, it's not going to be accurate enough. Maybe something closer to, well, considering that the actual wind speed associated with it is about 17 knots, I would assume that that would probably be closer to about 947 millibars at the actual center. But the dropson will confirm what they actually observed and give a legitimate reading of what the wind speeds were tagged onto that. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. That should be coming in relatively soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, looking at surface wind, looks like the NOAA recon recorded surface winds. It looks like of at least 113 knots, which is I think 130 miles an hour, if I'm not mistaken.
Thereabouts, yeah.
So recon has recorded 130 mile an hour flight level surface winds from Michael.
Hold on, you said flight level surface winds.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what?
Yeah. Oh, and
Which one is it?
Surface winds. Yes. I was looking at the
130
flight level
mile an
winds
hour
to the left.
surface winds.
I'm
Yes,
saying,
and I believe that's
I'm saying 114, but again, like Devin said earlier, just pay more attention to the pressure than the wind speeds, because again, winds kind of take some time to
Just need to clarify something there. Is that 10 seconds sustained or 1 minute?
10 seconds.
Ah,
10 seconds.
so not quite category 4 on that measurement alone, but yeah, I mean, we're waiting for, I guess, almost the inevitability that it will become a category 4 very soon, in a matter of hours, maybe even minutes, if the National Hurricane Center produce.
Oh my dear
update.
lord. Okay.
Here we go.
Drop zone data just came in.
Yeah.
951 millibars, 19 knots.
Ooh, yeah, that's probably like 940.
That's 945.
Like 940. Yeah, something like that. Thereabouts.
945. That is. Yikes.
That's bad news.
Well, I know Hank and Devin, you guys are big weather experts. Even with my knowledge, I'm going to go and throw the question out there. Would it be safe to say that this thing's going under rapid intensification again?
At this point, yeah. I mean, if you
It's already going underneath rapid
the pressure
intensification.
has dropped literally about 10 millibars throughout the course of the flight, and that first drop zone was recorded, I think, 3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours ago. So it's dropped about 10 millibars in 3 hours. That's very quick. That's very fast intensification, and even then, it's seeming to actually, the deepening is seeming to accelerate at this point.
We had the satellite appearance increase greatly, and now we're having the pressures drop greatly. So it's only a matter of time before the winds start. It's only a matter of time before the winds start catching up.
Yeah, I'm just looking out for any updates at the minute. Nothing at this point apart from what you guys have. If you've got any questions for us, though, in the last 15 minutes of tonight's stream, please send them in. The rest of tonight's schedule, there's going to be another update on Luban at an hour after the end of tonight's stream. That'll be 6 AM local time, Gulf Standard Time, that is. And then later on in the evening, I don't know when, but somewhere around the 11 PM Eastern update, I think David's doing one on Michael.
Yeah, it'll be at that time. It'll be the same time that I did Michael last night.
And all the while, we'll be keeping this stream up overnight, showing you the automated streaming service. Hopefully, as long as Ghost 16 doesn't go kaput, it should show the latest images of all the storms in real time whilst we're resting up for tomorrow. But it's quite a situation developing, and unfortunately, I won't be here to do the coverage for a large part of tomorrow, so I sort of feel a little bit regretful about that. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some coverage from somewhere else. I don't know.
We'll plan that out. We'll
Just
plan.
And
just take
I
a
have a-
look at the chat server, Nathan.
What about it?
I posted some info there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I have this question for Devon, whilst he can't see Vorak. Looking at other information, Devon, would you say Vorak would be above 7?
No.
No. Oh.
No.
No.
Not
How
yet.
bad would it
no,
have
no,
to be
no.
to be that figure?
The eye temperature, first off, the eye needs to get more symmetric, and the eye temperature needs to, well, the eye temperature's there, just the eye needs to get more symmetric. But it is definitely not at 7 yet. 6.5. 6.5
So,
technically, but
It
not 7.
remains
He's
a
6.5. That's
possibility.
6.5. That sounds about right.
6.5 is what I would go with right now for Michael.
Yeah, T7.0. That would take a lot more work. Like you said, the eye would have to clear. The convection would have to become more symmetric.
Yeah,
I don't
it just needs the eye just needs to get more symmetric.
ATCF have just edited their number 125 and 949.
And Nathan, National
949
Weather
millibars.
Service.
Wait, 125 knots?
No, 125 miles an hour.
Oh, you scared me there for a minute.
I'm sorry.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, don't give us a heart attack like that.
Don't do me like that. Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
please don't.
Damn it. I didn't mean to do that. The update came out for Sergio as well. No change for Sergio.
And Nathan, I have this from Twitter.
I just need to add the caveat there that the ATCF information isn't necessarily what the National Hurricane Center is going to go with on their update. So the text that will appear at the bottom of our screen won't change unless we're putting out an estimate or the NHC puts out an update. David.
National Weather Service Tampa Bay has put out a call to arms for assistance. We need your eyes and cameras overnight to help us monitor the coastal flooding resulting from Hurricane Michael along the Florida's west coast. Please pass any flooding you observe with the location, time, and a picture if possible. We appreciate everyone's help. That's from Tampa Bay NWS.
Yeah. So we're still looking at its intensification phase, and I guess a natural question that a lot of people will be thinking is just how far can it go from here? Time starting to run out on its intensification phase, but I guess I should go and ask you guys, because we haven't really discussed it very much during our 2-hour stream so far, considering we've only got 12 minutes to run. What are the environmental conditions around the storm like? Wind shear, dry air, sea surface temperatures.
Okay,
30 degrees Celsius.
One at a
Wind shear's
time.
Very. sorry about that. Wind shear
Okay.
is low enough for this thing to continue to intensify. There is still a very small amount of westerly mid-level shear that is somewhat undercutting the upper anticyclone right now, but that is obviously not having any impact on the storm right now. Sea surface temperatures are fine up to landfall. There's no issue there. And then dry air. It's a possibility that it might try to entrain some, but it wouldn't be anything that would. If anything, it would just set off an eyewall replacement, and that would just mean the wind field would expand, and it wouldn't be any better as if it were to make landfall at as a Cat 4 that it could potentially peak at. It wouldn't be any better because you got the wind field increasing, you got the convective structure increasing, so you're going to get more rainfall generally, and you're potentially even going to get higher amounts of storm surge, maybe slightly higher, not ridiculous, but still very, very high regardless. So if anything, if it does get, I guess, impacted in any way, which storms usually do before they hit the North Gulf Coast. They very, very rarely make landfall at peak intensity when they're this strong. I can't think of any that hit the Panhandle at peak intensity. So, yeah, I mean, environmental conditions for Michael obviously favorable. Will likely continue to be favorable for the next 24 hours.
Devon?
Pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Hank
that.
said everything that I was gonna say. Sea surface temperatures 30 degrees Celsius. Wind shear, there is none. Dry air, there is also none. So
People will be holding out hope, I'm guessing, in the comments. Is there an Eyewall replacement cycle anytime in the future?
nope,
Any answers to that?
nope,
No.
Not the
Nope.
current moment.
no, nope.
That latest imagery, the eye's still around there, still not fully clearing out, and eye temperatures still staying well into the -20s by the looks of things in those latest frames. But that convection around the eye wall still blowing up, especially on the northern side. And if we just zoom out a little bit, if we can, hopefully it won't glitch up the entire thing, which I get the impression it just might. It will get there slowly. Okay, that's taking far too long. There it
And I
goes.
keep on getting 500 server errors.
And 237 miles from Michael's eye to Panama City at this time.
I'm also noticing how that eye is gonna kind of getting covered up by those some clouds around it, but that this might be temporary.
I think that is temporary, Isaac.
Hard to see because it's zoomed out again, but I would agree with you on that.
We looked at this storm at the start of today, and I was waking up thinking, wow, I'm really surprised that it hasn't intensified beyond 90 miles per hour as it was at the time.
Yeah. Cuba just held it back just that little tiny bit.
And I thought it blew its chance of getting to what I fear we might see in the next 12 hours. A low to maybe mid-range category 4.
As
Yeah,
yeah,
considering
well,
how
it's
this,
already a low range category 4, and it's still going up. So
considering how it looked this morning at 6 o'clock Eastern time, I'm right along with you guys. This did not look like it had the marking of a mid-high 3, low 4 this morning. The eye was well off to the east, well away from central convection, and we come back less than 15 hours later, and this storm just looks phenomenal and very scary just looking at it on infrared.
An update from the ATCF, Cyclone Titley is now up to 65 miles per hour winds. If you're unfamiliar with that storm, it's this one just about to strike, well, not just about to, we'll get there pretty soon though. The eastern coast of India could become a category 1 storm, and possibly stronger than that, maybe. That is developing out in the Bay of Bengal. David has been tasked with updates on that storm. You did one not long ago.
Yes, I did, and I was reading some of the local information, and I want to ask.
You're too close to your
Nathan-
microphone, David.
Oh, sorry. I'm sitting here looking at the satellite imagery of Matthew. Here I go.
No. Where are we going here? Tiddly.
No.
Michael, but read
Michael.
Titley cat-free, Nathan.
Oh, well, HWRF is crazy about it being a category 4 in the last time I saw, but that is a rank outlier. Rank outlier. Not likely to happen.
It just doesn't have enough time to get there.
True. But I'm keeping an eye on that one. But Matthew,
Let's just bring you back to the
did
latest track forecast for Michael. Did you say Matthew again?
Yeah, he did.
yes, I did.
Yes,
There's a
he did.
blooper, guys.
2 years and 2 days since we ended our Matthew coverage, and David's still
How
there.
do you rank this one?
I'm sorry?
How do you rank this coverage?
Oh, well, that's not for me to decide.
Level pegging with Matthew.
That's not for me to decide. I'll let the viewers
I
be the
heard
judge
that,
of how well we do our coverage of this particular storm. Hopefully we are doing as best as we can. We've seen a few nice messages come through, but we're not here for nice messages necessarily. It sounds rude, but we're here to deliver the coverage on the storm as it continues to be this ferocious
True.
being that we've got
Ferocious.
approaching the coast of the Florida Panhandle. And still,
A
the
beast.
threat remains to some of those other states, Georgia and South Carolina. It could still be a tropical storm as it passes through those states as well.
Even maybe through North Carolina, yeah.
Maybe even. Tropical storm warnings extending all the way up to duck.
You mean watches?
Did I say warnings?
Yes, you did.
Okay, we're all
Yeah.
doing it. Watches, they could be upgraded to warnings in the future.
Yeah. And I guess it really quickly.
Yeah, we're just about to run out of time, so I guess we're sort of wrapping up here. Go.
I just wanted to bring in some other ATCF updates. Sergio, no change there. The Invest, no one cares. Leslie and Nadine have yet to be updated, though. And the North Indian storms, those have been updated. Leslie could be upgraded to a hurricane in this most recent one. It's hasn't been talked about a lot, but it's looking a lot better recently. And I know that.
And the last thing I thought would be that you'd be the one to talk about it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm not really keen on the storm. I never have been, but it's not looking. It's not looking too bad. I mean, it kind of looks a little worse now, but it's not looking too bad in general.
Just get a latest image on that if we can just there. It looks like half a hurricane at the moment.
Yeah, it looks better than it has been, though, and that wind field is definitely increasing. I wouldn't be surprised if it upgraded.
Just to briefly look at Leslie's track there, you can see. And the National Hurricane Center have a full 5-day cone with tropical storm on it as well again. They had it becoming post-tropical, and now it looks like they're buying into that turn towards the south. Oh no!
This is where we cease the Leslie talk.
Yeah, it could take the Canaries to be a rarity for them.
This is where we cease the Leslie talk.
Could do a U-turn. Last 3 minutes of the show dedicated to Leslie here.
In the
Okay,
last
I guess
3 minutes, we'll not be.
No.
And there's the track for Sergio. That one is now a tropical storm, likely to still be a tropical storm when it strikes the Baja California Peninsula. It feels like we've been talking about this for ages, waiting for this to actually happen. But it is eventually going to get there. I expect watches will be put into place pretty soon.
Most likely.
My final thought is for those in the Panama City area, you have maybe 8 to 10 hours before things start going south. I'm pretty sure the team will repost those links that we discussed earlier. For hurricane preparation tips, you can go to hurricane disaster preparation.org, I believe it is. I'll have to check that website. But for local shelters and evacuations, you will want to check out floridadisaster.org for the latest information, and always keep your ears open for local media outlets, emergency management teams that might have more information than what we have available to us.
What category intensity do we expect landfall?
Oh, you popped in very late, Michael. Well, it could be Category 3 or 4 at landfall. I'm afraid we're out of time for tonight. We will, of course, keep a very close eye on this storm, Michael, as it continues to move towards the coast of Florida. Tomorrow afternoon, we expect the landfall to be in Florida, and at the moment it's continuing to intensify dramatically, possibly to Category 4 status. Devon's sold on it at least, and I think Hank as well as many others here. We'll wait to see what the officials say at their next update, or if they do a special advisory, we'll have the latest for you in our text. We're going off the air now, but the automated streaming service will continue to roll images and, well, hopefully the Ghost 16 satellite is playing up a little bit, but hopefully you'll be able to take a look at everything going on over the nighttime hours, and we hope to bring you more coverage tomorrow as the storm brings through towards its landfall. Worrying times we've got here. Whoa there. We can still hear you over there.
Dear.
Whoever that was. Is that Devon? Not
Sorry,
so well?
that was
Yeah.
that was me again.
Poor Devon.
I was on mute, and then I unmuted myself to cough.
Okay, wonderful. Well, there we go. Stay tuned. We'll have more tomorrow. The chat section will remain open for discussion with fellow trackers and maybe us if we're hanging about. But for now, that's us signing off. Good night and stay safe.
Good night, everyone.